How often do you turn up to film expecting great light only to be met with flat grey skies? Today I'm going to show you how to turn disappointment into consistency and how to start stacking the odds in your favour. I've come down to Reculver Castle to explore how we can start planning for great light rather than just hoping for it. Let me show you what I mean using some example drone footage. We've got the same location, the same drone and the same flight path, so why does one feel cinematic and the other forgettable? The answer is simple, it's the light. Good light makes all the difference to the shot you're trying to capture. It adds depth, contrast and emotion. No amount of colour correcting is going to make up for bad light. It's baked into your film. You're not going to be able to fix this in post, so it's all about making sure that the conditions are right when you fly. So planning is going to be the key to our success here, and we're going to take a look at 3 apps that are going to make life much easier for you. First up, we're going to be able to use PhotoPills. This is going to allow us to be able to find our location and look at where the sun rises and where it sets. Next, we're going to take a look at Windy. This is a great app to be able to see when the weather is going to be favourable in your area at the place you want to shoot, and actually are the conditions going to be right. There's no point having great light if the wind is so bad that you can't fly your drone. And thirdly, we're going to take a look at Google Earth. This is going to allow us to be able to look at a location before we even get there. This is so handy if you're going to fly somewhere or travel and you need to be able to do some research before your feet are on the ground. So let's start off with one of my favourite apps, which is PhotoPills. I've been using this for years and I swear by it. I'm going to fire up the app, and this isn't a tutorial on how to use the particular app itself, but rather how I use it. I'm going to jump into the planner. I'm going to go into load and I'm going to type in the location that we're going to be filming at today, which is Reculver, and it finds it straight away. And we can see that it's gone to the actual village itself, and I'm actually going to move and put the pin on the actual church itself. And what's so good about this is we can see exactly where the sun is rising, where it is going to fall at each hour of the day, all the way round to where it's going to set. So here we are, we can see at 6 o'clock we've got the sun over here in the east, and as we come round it's going to go all the way to the west, but it's north of the church. So this is really useful information because we can take this basic understanding and we can go into Google Earth and we can apply this and get a lot better understanding as to how the church is going to look at those particular times of day. So let's do that. So Google Earth is probably one of the most powerful tools that you can actually do whilst planning. And if you've never used it before, it really might blow your mind the first time you have a go. Now I've got Reculver Towers and I'm just going to click on a previous recent search. And I'm going to jump in and you can see it's taken me straight to the location that we're going to be filming. And we can see that there's a picture here that kind of correlates with the actual location, so I know it's gone to the right place. I'll get rid of that. And you might be thinking, well, Nick, this doesn't look much different to what you were able to see on the PhotoPills, and that's quite true. But watch what happens when I switch over to 3D. Immediately, I'm getting a real-time rendering of the location. I can stop this, and using the keyboard and the mouse, I can actually then start to move this around and pivot it. And I'm able to actually then position myself in such a way that I know from what we saw in PhotoPills that the sun is going to rise somewhere over Herne Bay Cove. And I can then just zoom in, I can pan around, move this, and I know the sun is going to set somewhere off to the sea in the north over here to the west. And it allows me to be able to really pre-visualize what some of my flight plans are going to look like. And this is really handy if you're going to turn up and shoot without the ability to be able to do a recce mission. I often recommend being able to do one as being a great idea, but that's not always possible. But if you can, and it's in the middle of the day, you can do some waypoint missions confident in the knowledge that where the sun is going to rise and where it's going to set will then match with some of your flight plans that you might want to lock in, so that when you turn up you can literally just hit go and know that it's going to capture everything as you want it. So I personally think this is one of the most powerful tools that you can jump into and start mastering today. So the final piece of the jigsaw is to be able to try and get a good understanding of the weather. And no matter where I am in the world, I always use Windy as an app. I find it to be really reliable and for the most part can really help me to shape and understand whether it's even worth going out in the first place. And I'm going to show you why. Let's jump in and let's choose Reculver, which is obviously our location that we're going to be shooting at today. And if I take a look, I've got the fine granularity on the map to make sure that yes, this is the correct location. So let's take a look at the weather for this morning. And we can see that we've got clouds from the night that are clearing to give us some light and some sunshine first thing in the morning, which is exactly what I want. So I can then basically take from this that the weather is going to hopefully be suitable for flying. And what we can also see, and I find this to be really useful, is I can measure the wind. So I can see that the wind is going to be well within the tolerances of my drone and gusting again to well within the tolerances of my drone. And this is allowing me to have some confidence to make the effort to get up and drive to this location and look at shooting. Because without this information, if I just turn up, it's just blind luck as to whether I'm going to get conditions that are good or bad. And I can see that actually today this is looking like it's going to be a good shooting day. So let's take all the information we've just learnt, head back out into the field and see if we can't put it to some good use. So when I first arrived this morning, the light was flat and uninteresting, but I used my time wisely to set up and run some waypoint missions. This gave me some footage so that we can compare and contrast what it looks like when the sun comes out and we rerun those same missions. Now that we know exactly where the sun will be, we can fly some pre-planned paths that will capture the best light using far less guesswork. To give myself the best chances of capturing great light, I'm going to be flying a number of waypoint missions, some that will work better at sunrise and others at sunset. But by doing this, I give myself the best window of opportunity when the good weather arrives. Now, I appreciate that we can't always pick the conditions that we're filming in, but where you can, it's definitely worth waiting and being patient. It will make all the difference in the video footage that you produce and then put online for other people to watch. First up, let's see what happens when the sun is behind the drone. Everything is illuminated, but it's flat and lifeless. There's no separation, no shadow, and certainly no sense of depth. Let's now take a look at what happens when it's completely overcast. The light is soft, which can sometimes be useful, but in this case, the scene just lacks any contrast or any energy. In this, our third example, we can actually see what happens when we fly directly into the sun. It can actually have great creative effect. Even though our subject is flat and uninspiring, it's the power of the light in the scene that is actually making it interesting and engaging to watch. Finally, let's see what happens when the sun hits the subject at 90 degrees, side lighting. Now we've got drama. You'll see texture in the ruins, shadows play across the grass, and a real sense of dimensionality in what we're filming. This applies to nearly all types of photography and videography. Side lighting creates natural depth. It adds separation between your subject and background, reveals textures, and gives your photo a sense of dimensionality that's hard to achieve in flat light. So even if you're not flying a drone, the same principles hold. Watch the light and position yourself to make the most of it. It's clear that there's a connection between having better light and getting better footage, and planning increases those odds all the time. So at the end of the day, a perfectly timed masterpiece will always be a hastily uploaded video. My name's Nicholas Hill. This has been another episode of Learn, Shoot, Repeat, and I hope to see you in the next one.